must have been a hit that last time. Pieces of the tower falling now, and the battle goes on.
We read and hear about this kind of situation almost every day. The outcome of barricaded and sniper incidents. Some become more tragic than others. Some suspects act out of uncontrolled emotions. Some with great planning. Against a loved one. Or against everyone. And some act for no apparent reason. Unfortunately, they all represent the kind of high-risk problems you may encounter on patrol. We know from experience that sometimes the actions of the suspect restricts the options available to police, which can result in this kind of response. Some might argue that this suspect did not have to die. What do you know about this offender? Was there time to use a negotiator? What about a patrol car speaker? And should a patrol unit have been deployed in plain view of the suspect's main escape route? Did the presence of officers in plain view cause the suspect to turn on his hostage? What would you have done?
Come on out!
Our objective here is to reinforce the techniques you will need to know and apply in any barricaded suspect situation. And we call those high-risk patrol tactics.
Oh, well, he relieved Hopper here at 12 a.m. and at 1 a.m.
And 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. That's only 1 hour.
An hour.
That's right.
So what in the world's going on here? I know it.
So,
Wally! Where you going?
Wally.
Wally!
Where you going, Wally?
Wally! We told you 2 weeks ago the plant was closed. Where you going?
I'm going to work. Going to work?
You go in there and call the police.
Will do.
Could you send an officer over right away, please?
Mr. Levering, do you have a callback number, sir?
Yes, sir.
What are you doing here? I thought I told you 2 weeks ago the plant had been sold, and that you're through.
In every barricaded incident, of course, it's the dispatcher's responsibility to equip the first responding officer with as much accurate information about the situation as possible.
Unit 116.
Unit 116, 12th and Market. Unit 116, a disturbance at 3016 Kansas Avenue. Contact the security guard in the abandoned Alcan aluminum plant. Be at the main entrance.
Sometimes, however, you will respond to a call with inaccurate or incomplete information. All the more reason to be prepared for the situation to have deteriorated by the time you arrive. If shots were fired and you were the first responding officer, you'd approach the location with caution, making sure you didn't drive into the line of fire.
Unit 116.
Being as observant as possible, you'd park far away and take the best cover available.
Officer, my partner's been shot over there.
Stay down, stay down. Hey, what's going on?
Man, I don't know what's happened. Only thing I know is, man, my partner's been shot.
Even though one of your first responsibilities is to locate the suspect, you're going to stay as invisible as possible so the offender doesn't locate you first.
This was with a rifle.
Okay, what kind of rifle was it? Do you know if it had a bolt? Was it semi-automatic?
It had a bolt. It had a bolt.
Okay, how many people were shot?
One problem, of course, is that unless a call is as obviously dangerous as this one, some officers forget to use caution, sometimes with this result. When responding to any call of this type, use invisible deployment.
Hold on. Unit 116.
116.
Give me emergency traffic. Have 2 people down, shots fired within the Alcan complex. Stand by.
Emergency traffic only.
Okay, go.
116 has shots fired. 3016 Kansas.
Which way did he go?
116 Kansas.
That building behind that sign over there.
Unit 116 have responding to units. Stay off of Kansas and off of Massachusetts on the northwest side. Unit 116, roll a supervisor. Give me 1 responding unit at the northeast corner of the complex. Have him go westbound Kansas from Chicago and stand by there.
If dealing with someone emotionally disturbed, the presence of police roaring up to the scene will often force him to act in ways he never intended. For example, this offender took a hostage after he heard the sound of sirens approaching from a distance. When responding to something like a crime in progress, at the moment you arrive, you don't know if it's all over, a false alarm, or still in progress.
Hands down on the counter. Let's go!
Okay,
Okay, I sold all the money out of the register right now. Hurry up!
Even though the tendency is to rush in and directly engage the suspect, it's worth remembering that one of the reasons criminals often take hostages
Give me that.
is because the first responding officers were observed while blocking the suspect's escape. In this incident, 2 robbers barricaded themselves with hostages in a second-floor apartment. Out front were parked 16 patrol cars.
Okay. Okay, I tell you what.
On the other hand, the tactics for invisible deployment are to make your approach as quietly as possible out of direct view of the location, and then work to a position of maximum cover and maximum observation.
Don't move. If an officer comes, keep your hands up.
In any case, you don't peek around at head level, and never look twice from the same level. Of course, if it were night, you'd avoid being silhouetted by lights. You'd position yourself in shadow areas, staying away from lighted doorways and lighted windows. Outside, you'd avoid this kind of silhouette by staying away from background light. Whatever is behind you should be as dark as your uniform. At this point, you and units backing you up are containing the suspect and sealing the area. In effect, creating the inner perimeter. Now, if the suspect is still inside, you won't have long to wait because he intends to come out sometime. And when he does come out, you have the advantage on your ground, not his.
Stay down, over here. Okay, stay down. Okay, this is what we have, Sergeant. We have 2 down, 1 unconfirmed inside the building. The suspect went into the second building, east of this one right here down the street. The suspect is carrying a high-powered bolt-action rifle, no scope. The building is vacant, and he's the only one in there.
Position at the northeast corner of the complex. 142 should be keeping an eye on the rear of the second building.
Every place okay.
Let's go.
Wally, I gotta let you go. We've been bought out.
I would have been here 31 years.
Sorry.
Hey, this is my wife. Come on, man.
Sorry. 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 Sorry.
In any high-risk situation that requires sustained police action, a field command post is a requirement.
Yes, sir. Can I help you? We have an emergency at the Alcan plant down the street. We'd like to use a gas station.
Located near the scene of the threat, yet far enough away for safety, the command post, here in yellow, coordinates the entire response, including tactical teams and negotiators.
Sit down right here.
45 will be 2,500 state.
Here, you take this map, you take this piece of paper, and I want you to draw a map of the entire Alcan company complex, all right? You sit and draw as detailed as you can. Don't worry about doing it in a hurry.
To increase efficiency and avoid confusion, the number of personnel at the command post should be strictly controlled.
And I'll be getting back to you later.
And keep the islands open.
Just keep them open and keep customers coming through, all right?
Once the suspect is contained, the use of landline communications will avoid possible monitoring by the suspect and the press.
Lieutenant Brown, Watch Commander's office.
Lieutenant, this is Sergeant Dana. It appears that what we have out at the Alcan company is a disgruntled ex-employee from when it closed down. He's come back with a gun, apparently a long rifle. We have 2, maybe 3 people down, and he's barricaded himself in a warehouse over there now. We have officers on an inner perimeter. I'm going to need some additional backup. I'm going to need the highway patrol to stand by for perimeter later.
The field commander designates where the outer perimeter will be formed based on a knowledge of the suspect's firepower. This ensures that anyone not involved in the operation is kept away and out of danger. Beyond that, the commander may designate a traffic control perimeter outside of the inner perimeter to route normal traffic flow around the scene of the threat.
Okay, we'll take care of your needs, and I'll dispatch you an ambulance and a fire unit.
The field commander establishes an adequate staging area for fire and ambulance services. Crime scene investigators will be available to document the police response. If casualties do occur, you want to have the medical response nearby and under control, as well as ensure that emergency vehicles are as safe from the suspect as possible.
Does it look like you're going to have to do some evacuation?
We can't tell yet. It's a deserted plant, and it's quite a ways away from every place else.
By using appropriate techniques, you may have to evacuate civilians within the kill zone. In other words, that area which a suspect can effectively control with hostile weapons fire. In the case of a large number of evacuees, buses may be used to transport civilians to a safety zone. In the case of a barricaded suspect inside a high-rise, it may be more practical to notify the occupants by phone to stay where they are rather than evacuating them. In some incidents, lodging has to be arranged for those who cannot return to their homes.
Hang on 1 minute, please. Steve?
Yes, sir.
I need you to be a recorder.
Okay.
I want you to take a pad of paper, sit down, and every time something happens here, every time some information comes in or some decision is made here, I want you to log it. Okay, Lieutenant, go ahead.
Okay, Sergeant, what channel are you going to use for this incident?
We'll be operating off channel 3. I'm Sam 40.
The commander establishes a communications net involving all personnel at the scene and at headquarters. A separate frequency is desirable for command operations to avoid unnecessary traffic near the scene. Experience has also shown the need for a media liaison officer away from the command post. You want to avoid the spread of false rumors and reduce the possibility that reporters will interfere with the police response. In this incident, for example, local papers speculated that 2 or 3 snipers were involved, when in fact there was only 1.
Are you going to have the staging area at the same location as the CP?
That's affirmative. Staging here. Also, I'll need a negotiator, Sergeant Monahan, to come down. Press relations officer can meet with me here. I'll brief him, and he can go out and contact the press and keep him away from here.
All right. Do you have any name or any description of the suspect?
All we have right now is possibly a Wally Becker. I don't have a warrants check on him or any wants record or anything else.
All right. I might suggest to you, Sergeant, that you not give his name over the air. Family involved, of course, and I'll send you an investigator out and start doing a background on him.
Will you need a helicopter?
No.
Okay, I'll make notifications to the brass upstairs, and I'll be out at the scene just as soon as I can get things moving here for you. Also, don't you want extra telephone lines brought in? I can notify a telephone company.
Yeah, I'd like
for you.
about 3 phone lines in.
Okay, fine. I'll notify a telephone company. Thank you.
In this incident, patrol officers will function as a tactical unit. Their training increases the department's ability to control actual situations, avoid mistakes, and maintain firearms discipline.
4, we have a body here.
Usually there is a team leader who makes tactical decisions as well as supervises and maintains control while the team carries out its response.
There are 2 people laying out
A
front.
trained marksman, armed with a scoped high-powered rifle, controls the situation upon command of the team leader.
Go and scout the entire area.
There's an observer equipped with a semi-automatic rifle who directs the selective fire of the marksman.
Come back in here and we'll talk
A
about it.
scout armed with a semi-automatic rifle is responsible for reconnaissance, for approach and withdrawal routes. And finally, there's a rear guard armed with a shotgun who protects the team from ambush and provides close-range fire against the suspect's fortified position.
Blocking off the street there, we have a Kansas and the track. Jerry? How you doing, Dick? What do you have going? Looks like we have a barricade operation going.
But most critical is the need for gathering intelligence. The more you can find out about this situation, the more effective the field commander is going to be in directing events.
Administrative building, we're still checking on that. We have a name on it yet?
The minimum facts the commander is looking for are what's happened,
Dick, what do you know about the guy? All we know, Jerry, is apparently he worked here for about 31 years.
what is the situation,
Plant closed down, they're selling out.
who is the suspect. Can a psychological profile be constructed which gives some indication of his motivations?
Do we have any background, any history on him from the station as yet? Not yet. I called investigators. They've got 2 of them en route.
Where are the suspects and hostages, if any? What weapons are involved?
He just checking on the phone hookups now. They're back in room back here. It's all steel, closed in. You should be pretty comfortable.
Is there a floor plan?
How about a phone number where the suspect...
Telephones? Utilities?
According to the security guard, this is the only phone number, the only telephone inside the warehouse. If you can make contact with him, it should
And
be in
why did this incident occur in the first place?
Okay, what time does this thing get started? About 8 o'clock in the morning, when he first started coming in to go to work regularly.
Even though these officers are not inside the kill zone, any movement must be pre-planned, swift, and with one officer providing cover for the other. The field commander should designate an effective forward observation post for the observer and marksman. As a team, they will be in a position to provide key intelligence for updating the response. Their movement to a point of maximum observation will also provide cover for other team members. As the first officer takes position, cover is now provided in order for the other officer to move.
Team 4 to command post.
Command post, go ahead.
For the observer, obtaining information is often hampered by poor light
Vision device. We have 1 male
or
white
just good
subject
planning
on
by
the
the
floor,
offender.
right directly behind the doors. The suspects are not visible to me from this point.
If you have a tactical team, the commander will use their updated intelligence to once again readjust the tactical response.
10-4, we have a tall single-story building with a full row of windows across the front, set of
Your
double
description
doors.
should include building construction and layout, and points of entrance and exit.
We have 2 subjects down on the lawn in front with no signs of life.
If a vehicle is involved, you want to provide a detailed description and license number.
10-4, do you see any signs of movement within the building at all?
Negative.
10-4, keep me posted of any changes.
10-4.
143 to 144.
The success of the response hinges on your maintaining complete communication with fellow officers.
10-4, come on in westbound Massachusetts and park on the right side of my unit.
10-4.
Other team members, only from your department, will be assigned to inner perimeter positions. They will eliminate possible escape routes and relieve the first responding officers. Your deployment also involves proper cover and concealment. You pick your spot first and then move. You're looking for cover, not concealment. There's a difference. Taking cover keeps you from being shot. Concealment keeps you from being seen. Sometimes along the way, all you have is concealment like a bush or tall grass, which is fine as long as you are not seen taking that position and as long as you move on to cover. In selecting a position, keep in mind what the adversary is looking for and avoid this. In concealing yourself behind building corners, it's this, not this. In concealing yourself behind doorways, you can avoid this by staying back inside and using shadows to your advantage. On rooftops, it should look like this, not this. Inside windows, stay back and use shadows to your advantage. Or this is what the suspect will see, along with anything that reflects. In all cases, invisible deployment will allow you to safely obtain intelligence on the suspect's location and movement. A vehicle can be either cover or concealment, depending on how you position yourself. By crouching behind a wheelbase, you can be reasonably sure you've taken cover for your entire body. Forgetting this can be fatal. This officer died because he stood behind his unit to get a better view. This man was shot twice trying to use his ambulance for cover. He didn't know that bullets will ricochet and skip under vehicles. Often you have no real choice with a vehicle except to position the engine block and tire between you and the adversary's location. In these situations, you be the judge. If you must cross an open ground, use quick bursts and zigzags, making the smallest target compatible with speed. Using the balls of your feet reduces the possibility of being hurt as well. The proper technique for ascending a ladder is to step on every rung, while placing your hands on every other rung. As you advance, you want to apply another technique, the high ground advantage. You want the high ground to make a possible firefight easier for you and harder for the suspect. In this incident, officers saw this view of the suspect's location at the top of an 18-story hotel. Unfortunately, here's a close-up of what the suspect saw. Here, an officer took refuge because he thought he was behind cover and concealment. But from a height of 300 feet, Charles Whitman killed that officer with one round. But where it isn't possible to take the high ground, your final position should be one that gives you the advantages of observation, response fire, and cover. If the commanding officer uses gathered intelligence to strengthen the tactical response, other officers will be using that intelligence for another purpose. Usually positioned near the inner perimeter, a negotiator will attempt to talk the suspect or suspects into surrendering without further violence. Basic negotiation principles do influence high-risk patrol tactics. In fact, responding to high-risk situations almost always requires a blending of both physical and verbal tactics.
Hello, Wally? Wally, are you there?
Huh? Who's this?
Wally, this is Jerry Monahan from the Riverside Police Department.
I gotta go to work. I gotta go back to work.
What time did you get there?
I gotta go back to work, but I can't find my bench.
You can't find your bench? Wally, I want you to know I'm here to help you.
Who's this?
Jerry Monahan from the Riverside Police Department.
Once your final position has been taken, normally there should be no more movement unless commanded otherwise.
Victor 14, Sam.
When you first take your position, everything is happening fast. But after a couple of hours, those stimuli can change to discomfort. And that's why it's imperative that the commander give attention to replacements. For example, on a hot day, contact with shingles can cause blistering and nausea. Inclement weather, wind and severe cold can numb hands or cause frostbite. You want to apply a safe routine for maintaining alertness. For example, some use deep breathing exercises to avoid muscle cramps. Experience has shown that in most cases, when you respond with proper planning and tactics, the incident can be brought to a successful conclusion.
It hurts.
Do you need any aspirins? Are you injured?
Oh, man, my head hurts. And I can't find my drill press.
Can I help you with something? Maybe some aspirins, or are you hungry?
No, I'm not hungry.
How about a sandwich?
No, I don't want any goddamn sandwich. I just want my drill press.
Wally? Hello? Hello?
Pete? Yes, sir. See if you can get the watch commander on the phone. Maybe you can get some shower relief out there to the men on the perimeter. They've been there for a long time. Okay.
Excuse me, Pete. Dick, I think we have a problem. I've been talking to Wally Becker on the phone, and it looks like the reason this happened today is because of the layoff and shutdown of the plant after 31 years on the job. He's really way out right now, but he is probably going to come out of there either shooting or he's going to commit suicide. Just before I finished talking to him, he yanked the phone out of the wall, tried to call him back, and the line was dead. I think it's very, very important that we set up some other form of communication, maybe a bullhorn or something.
There's a bullhorn and a flak vest in the trunk of my car, 142 right outside the station. Why don't you go ahead and use that and try it?
Okay, I'd like to try that. Dick, I've been out there with the bullhorn for about an hour and a half, and no response from Wally. I think the negotiations have deteriorated to a point of an impasse.
44 code 6, advise on ambulance.
I think Wally's made up his mind. He's just not going to respond.
If, however, the situation presents a continuing threat to the safety of police, hostages, or civilians you can't evacuate, and use of chemical agents is ruled out, the commander may issue orders to penetrate the location to apprehend the suspect. If possible, you want to work from the top down. If not, entry is made from the least vulnerable point of observation. The entry and search of a room requires the utmost caution and silence. Before entering, all shiny objects on the uniform, shield, keys, handcuffs, should be covered with dark tape or removed. At the direction of the team leader, 2 officers assume positions on both sides of the doorway so the room can be viewed in both directions. The team leader now directs another team member, armed with a shotgun, to assume a position in the doorway to provide cover for the actual entry. If the view into the room is obstructed in any way, you can now rock forward quickly or use a mirror as a periscope. In any case, you don't peek around at head level. When the officer on the floor is convinced the room is empty, he will use a silent signal to acknowledge which officer he wants to make entry first. You pick your spot, then move. You enter quickly and quietly by crossing through and assuming a position on the opposite side. The team leader now crosses the room and takes up a cover position at the next doorway, avoiding a crossfire position. Now, the last 2 officers who took position first assume positions next to the team leader. And the last officer to enter is the cover officer. Since the suspect could be hiding anywhere, you have to look everywhere. All areas left behind are secured, of course, so the suspect can't move back in behind you. Preparation, control, and teamwork for both defensive deployment and entry are a must, because when you do have to employ high-risk patrol tactics, you want to be sure you're prepared for whatever the suspect does.
They're trying to get a key to get in there. Now they're shooting into the bunker. They're shooting into the elevator shaft. One policeman is down. He is being dragged away by his colleagues.